this is the help video for Access Chapter 12. We are working on the prepare case starting at step number 5. And I wanted to put up on the screen first the this quick reference that's in your textbooks or in your ebook. And it's a good page to paperclip or make a note of it. It has on it the common macro actions. So over here on the left is the action, and then there's a description of what it is. So just make sure to go through that, and as we work on different actions, I will specify what you need to do. So if we look at step number 5, this manager requests copies of a report that lists the customers who have services for a particular day. The current process takes too much time, is prone to errors because the information is being copied manually from one location to another. Ooh, boo, hiss. So a macro can automate that process and reduce the risk of errors. And that's really one of the huge purposes of macros. Make things simpler and make things more accurate. All right, so we're going to create a new macro. So we go where we always do. We do create, right? And then look, there's a section here we really haven't looked at yet. So we're going to pick macro. It's going to take us to that new screen that we were looking at. And so from there, we need to decide what it is we want to do. And this is where, if I didn't have the instructions in front of me, I would step back and decide what is the process that I need to automate. And I would step through it manually, writing down every click that I do, anything that I type, and then that could be used as your source for creating this macro. Of course, we have the steps. We have the actions that we want to do because we have instructions. But moving forward, when you do these on your own, you're going to have to figure it out. So we went ahead and we did our create, and we clicked on macro. In the action catalog, we're going to put a comment in there, right? So the very first thing is this comment. So we could do it a couple ways. We could drag this over, or I could pick the down arrow key, right? I tend to do it from this drop down. So comment. This macro applies a filter to the customer schedule report and exports the report as a PDF. So cool. So that's step 5. Just putting a comment. Okay, so let's analyze step 6. Add an open report. Okay, so the process is that we're going to open a report. So we're going to have to put in some attributes or some conditions when we go to open the report. So let's start by putting that action in here. So we're going to open report, and then look, we have all of these attributes that we need to set, all of these pieces of information. Excuse me. So the very first thing would be the report name, and notice how it says required. So I'm just going to click this down, and it's going to bring up the list of reports in this database, so I can just pick. So reports scheduled by customer. The view that we want is a report view. Are we adding a filter? So that's the name of a query, or a filter that's saved as a query, or let's see, are we putting any filter? No, we're not. I apologize. We do not have a filter already created. What we're going to use is the where condition here. So notice there's no drop down. This is a typing, or I can use the build, right? Boom. So I can use the build, Or in this case, I'm just going to type it. So date of appointment, so that's a field, right, is going to be equal to whatever is entered in this prompt. Right? And so remember on our queries, when we wanted to put in a prompt for a parameter query, we put them inside square brackets. So here what we're saying is run this report or view this report, scheduled by customer, where the date of appointment in the underlying data source is equal to whatever is entered. Because see, this is a prompt. I'm not putting a specific date in that. This way, I can run this and it will allow me to run it against different dates. All right, so 6 is done. The way I have it, it's only going to be a single date though, because I have an equal. All right, add and export with formatting. So we're going to open that up and we're going to pick export with formatting because we're going to send this report out. We're going to send it, let's see, where are we at? As a PDF. So what are we exporting? We're not exporting a table, we're exporting a report. And the object name is this report by scheduled customer, and the output format is a PDF. So we open a report, we're exporting the results of that report out in PDF form. Let's see if we need to do anything else. Nope, that's it. So we're going to do a save MCR customer services list. Okay, close it. And now we should have a new one here. I'm going to cancel that because I have no idea. I have no idea. Let's see, report by. So the source for this table customer. So let's see what we got here. What are we looking for? Okay, so I opened up schedule. Here's our data service. I just wanted to find a date that I could actually, so January 14th, 2022. So let's run this and we'll put, oh, I already forgot the date. It's not going to bring up anything. So, but here we can see whatever the results are, which is nothing, it will output it, right? So it worked. All right, now we're going to add, we did that. All right, 7 is done. Let's go to 8. All right, so the spa routinely adds new products to meet the demands of their clients. When new products are acquired, the information is sent in a spreadsheet with the product name and other information. This data needs to be entered into the database, which is currently being done manually by copying and pasting. So we all know that's prone for errors, right? And it's cumbersome. Doesn't need to be. You have a file, let's get it in there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new file, or a new macro that's going to input information for new products. So this process that we're going to do, so this is an example of what I was talking about in terms of mapping out what you want. So in this, we're going to import new records into a temporary table. So we're not actually putting them into the live data because we want to make sure everything's kosher before we do that. So we're going to import them to a temporary table. We're going to suppress any database warnings, so the user doesn't have to do that. Then we're going to run a query that's going to update, which would capture if there's any data that's in there it's wrong. And no, I'm sorry, the update's going to convert to the proper case. And then we're going to append the temp information to the live information, and then we're going to get rid of the temp, right? So one of the things that you don't do when you pull in information from an external source is to just dump it straight into the live table. You almost always bring it into an another table, and then whatever checks you have to do, whatever kind of data massaging you're going to do, you do it in that table, and then you append the updated, corrected information into the live table. So that's the process we're going to use. So let's see how the heck we can do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new macro. Boom. It's going to bring us to this little bit of intimidating screen, but we know we can get to everything we want right there. So the first thing we're going to do is put a comment in there, right? Let's see. So comment, this macro automates the process of importing new products into the products table. Cool. So we're done with 8. It's always a good idea to start your macros off with some kind of documentation. Okay. The other thing is, usually when I do these, I always run them in single step just to make sure before I do the full run, just to see where things go. All right, if necessary, show all actions. So I'm going to click on show all actions, and add the import action spreadsheet. So I'm going to click this. We're going to find import export spreadsheet action. Okay. And this is giving you a little warning because you're putting data in from an external source. So you just want to be aware that it's safe because it can carry with it viruses. Import is the transfer type, and Excel workbook is the spreadsheet type. The table name is going to be called TBL temp new products. So that one doesn't exist. It's going to be created when we try to import this. And then the file name, we need to put the path that contains the file. So the file we're looking for is spa products. So if I go into the my system and I go to downloads and spa products, so if I click on that and then look, do you see this is not a good, I can't, that's not a link, but if I click in this, okay, so I found this, and depending on what version you're in, you can click here and get the path, or in my case, I can come up to this clipboard when I'm looking at my list and say copy path. That, whatever you have selected, it will copy the path. And then watch what happens when I come in here and I click and I right click and paste. It'll put wherever this is located. Now, this works as long as the location and the name of the file that you're pulling in doesn't change. Okay? So if it, you want to make sure that this is going to be fixed, if you will, so that every new spa products is going to be called spa products. It's going to be an Excel file and it's going to be in this folder, right? So you'd want to iron that out before you make that. Field name has field names. Yes, it does. So we're going to change that to a yes. And we don't really have a range, so we're done with 9. So we are done with this import. So now we're going to pick up in step number 10. So in order to improve the user experience, it's important to suppress the common warnings, right? So, we're going to do the set warnings action, and we're going to make sure it says no warnings. So we're done with 10. That way the user doesn't get a bunch of pop-ups if there's any kind of errors. Okay, the products in the file are all uppercase. The product names need to be transformed with the query update product description. So if you look, this already exists, right? Its purpose is to change it to mixed case, right? So let's do this. In the product names to be transformed. Okay, so we're going to do open query, because we need to open it before we can do anything with it. Open query. The query name is update product description, data sheet for view, and edit as the data mode. So we're done. So that's going to run that macro. All right, new products are still in that temp table. So we need to append that, now that it's fixed, to the table products. So that query already exists. So see, those objects are all done. They're all tested. They all work. Now we're just automating a process that you do manually. All right, so we're going to open another query. So we're going to do open query. Query name this time is going to be append new products, data sheet, and edit. So we're good there. So we're just opening the append. So once these records have been appended, then we need to delete the temp products. So there's already a query for that. So we're going to open query. This time it is delete. Where are we at here? Delete, view, and edit. So we're done with 13. Save. We're going to then change the set warnings action to yes at the end, so that gets turned back on to in the system. Done with that. And then we're going to add a message box, and we're going to say new products, oops, no cap, Helen. New products have been added to the database, period. Yes for beeping. Title, new products added. Let's save it. We're going to call this MCR, import new products. Okay. And then we're going to run the macro, and if we look at, so I'm going to close that, we should have 30 records in the product. So right now we have 25. So let's run our macro and see if it works and what we have. So that 15 is done. All right, so import new products. Yeah. So that's my error here. Hold on. Okay, I had to do a little change in order to run this, and I'll show you what I did. But I went ahead and it worked. So now if I look at products, I have 30. So here's what I had to do, guys. I had to go to File, Options, and in the General change the default database folder. Mine was going out to the OneDrive, right? So it was getting messed up. So I just changed that and made sure that my file was in the right place, and then it worked. So you might have to play with it a little bit. It just depends on how your setting is. All right, so I'm going to stop this video at step 16, and we'll pick up at step 17. Thank you.